What's going on, guys? Alex here, and today I'd like to share my personal experience of what the university has taught me after 4 years of studying. For those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Alex, I'm 4th year currently medical student from Latvia, and I am studying for more than 4 years, to be honest, because I was taking a gap year or a study academic break. Right now, maybe I'm going to share some obvious for somebody thoughts, but I'd like somebody to share these thoughts with me when I was on my first year of medical school. So let's get to the beginning of this funny list which I have in front of me, and the first point in this list is that there is almost nothing impossible in the university, because someone has already done that before you. The only thing you need to find for yourself is the study method or time in order to study, because nothing is impossible if we are talking about old and already existing practice in any type of learning. I know many find that medical school is very hard. I agree that there is lots of information to consume, lots of facts to know, and lots of time you need to spend in order to know lots of stuff which you are being taught. But the thing is that there is nothing impossible, and the only difference between courses which I can find is that some of the courses require much less time than the others. And the idea here is the same as I said before, someone has already done that, and maybe there are many people who have done even more than you plan on doing. And that's why never stop trying. So that's the first. I know it's maybe obvious, but this simple thought that someone has already done that before, I have come to it not at once. And when I was during my first year, it looked like that somebody has done that, but I know I couldn't do it. No, you can do it. The only difference is how do you study, whether do you study, and how much time do you invest into this subject. The second thing I'd like to mention during this funny sharing of experience is to work smarter and not harder. I know it's corny, but to be honest, it's so much true, and I'd like to hear that during my first semester of medical school. And the points here are, first of all, to use notes from previous years and from your course mates, because someone has done that before, as I have mentioned before, and that's why there are already notes. So you can ask them from your mentor, you can ask some notes from the people you know, from who are 1, 2 years, 3 years on the second, third, fourth course. And so the idea here is, if you don't know anyone, you can also always ask your course mates to share some of their notes. Maybe not all of them, maybe you should do something in return, share your notes, but the idea here is that you don't need to do everything on your own. If you can do it, it doesn't mean that you need to do it, because some of the subjects, they shouldn't require as much time as you plan on investing in it. For example, the main example for me here is anatomy and some subject as ecology. The both of the subjects, they had similar amount of credit points, or the points which you get after completing the course. And the thing was that these subjects are similar on paper, but they are not similar at all if we are talking about time and effort you need to invest into knowing these subjects, because obviously anatomy requires much more of you studying, of your conspecting, of you doing some practice jobs in the anatomy lab, and so on. Because ecology, the only thing it requires for you to read a couple of scientific papers, couple of journals, and basically you know the basic amount of information. And so it would be very dumb for you to invest the same amount of time into both of these subjects, because obviously anatomy requires much more time and much more effort. That's why you can do a simple thing to ask somebody, for example, your mentor, the person who is guiding you through your first year of school. At least that's how it exists in Latvia. And the idea here is you can ask your mentor for some notes on ecology. And I could do that. but I decided that I will make the notes on my own. Yes, of course, it's much better. I can remember much more info from the first year and from the psychology subject. But will it be relevant for me? I very much doubt that. And so the idea is that to work smarter and not harder, that you need to decide, to prioritize the subject just for you, so you know how much time you invest and where you can cut the corners. The second idea of this point is to go through previous tests if they are available. Some of these tests are available from the people who are on the second, third course and so on. Because the idea is that tests are very, very often done by the same people who have done this test before, and that's why if these people have the test, it doesn't need to be legal all the way. They may just take a photo of tests during the test, but if you have this test, just go through it, because this test, the new test, will be done by the same people who have done the previous one. And the thing here is that very often I was in the situation where I knew the information, but because of the test was made in a different way than I was expecting, that's why I almost failed this test, because any question you can make so that it would be much harder for you to recognize the correct answer. So it may be the same multi-choice question, but it may be constructed in the way you wouldn't understand. So that's why go through previous tests of previous years if they are available, because that's very important. I haven't done it, and that's why I have almost failed some of my subjects. Third point, and one of the most important in this important point, is to find your own study method and most important note-taking method, because there are plenty of methods out there. Like you can use flashcards, you can make paper notes, digital notes, you can type it, you can write it by hand, you can just read through your notes in order to remember, you can teach someone in order to remember. The same flashcards as I mentioned before, Anki. You can just hear the lecture once again, you can make recordings during the lecture, you can use like YouTube, you can use Emboss. Lots of resources are right there. But the only thing you need to do is to find the method which works for you. If using flashcards doesn't work for you, don't use it, because it worked for some people and doesn't work for another people. The same goes with the note-taking methods, because there are studies, and I have heard it lots of times, that taking a handwritten notes are much more useful for your long-term memory than typing notes. But you know what? If it doesn't work for you, like, don't pressure on it. Like, if you like typing notes, if you can find it much more convenient, just use it, because you need to find one method and stick to it. The same goes with the study method, and the same goes with the note-taking method. And the sub point to this, I can mention that find the only book for one specific subject, because the same as with note-taking methods and study methods, there are lots of information out there. You can find lots of books, you can find lots of resources. Find the only one you will stick to maximally. You can find two and stick to it. Use only these resources. Your course mates may use the different one, but if the thing which you are using works for you, stick to it and do not like switch to other in the middle of the subject, because there are lots of information and the only thing you need to do is to stick to one, because in most cases they are using the same info, only taught to you in a different way. So, as you have already understood from all of my pretty long monologue, connection matters. And here I mean friends, course mates, professors, people from the year after you, from the years behind. And the most important thing which university has taught me is to make like new connections, and that's very, very important. I know it may seem like, why would I make connection and to become friends with someone who I'm trying to overcome academically? But the thing here is that you can do it on your own, but if you can do it on your own, maybe you shouldn't do it, because I can do lots of things, but should I do all of them? No. the same goes here. If you can make good connections, it will help you after the university, it will help you during the university. The same goes with course mates, friends, professors, as I mentioned before. Especially professors, because you can use their help after the university and during the university. Because if you will make this connection really matters, because this professor will tell you on which meetings should you go, which resources you can use during his subject, and he can help you with your research project if you decide to do one. That's why connection matters, because it can gain you resources which will shorten the time you need in order to understand the subject. The next point is manage your time in order to manage your life, and that's number one in learning, because time management is everything. I was struggling, and I'm still struggling with this point on my own, because it's very hard to plan your time accordingly. I try to make a bullet list what I need to do throughout the day, but it's very hard to stick for a person who didn't use this type of list for a long time, because before my academic break I just studied. I didn't use useful methods which really work for me. The same goes here as well. If this method works for you, the same as with note-taking method, study method, time management method, if some of the method works for you, stick to it and use it. But you need to time manage your life, because even if you are not working during your university or college, even in that case you have very limited time resources. Even if you are not studying in medical school, even though you have limited time, and you need to time manage your life, because then you will have enough of it in order to make a free time, in order to meet with friends, in order to dedicate some time to sports, and at the same time to show good results academically. Next thing is always have a plan, because having a plan, the same as time management, is very important if we're talking about some difficult courses, if we're talking about medicine, because in other case you will struggle with almost every single subject. You need to have a study plan, you need to time manage it in order to show any results, because even if you say I don't use any type of plan, I don't have a plan, I don't time manage, but still I get good results, you still have some kind of plan. Because even if you study at the late 10 minutes before the exam, even if this is the only time when you are studying, even in that case you have some type of plan. You just cannot say that this plan is adequate, because you need to study before the exam, at the latest moment before the exam. Still, you have some type of plan, and the only thing you don't do, you do not time manage your life. I have done it myself. That was one of the reasons why I was used to failing lots of tests and lots of subjects. That was the reason why I needed to take an academic break or a gap year in the middle of my studying in medical school. That's why have a plan, time manage. The next thing, and the thing which I struggle still, but I try very hard in order to make it work, is to use opportunities given. Because when you are studying, you have library access. If we are talking about medical school, you have hospital access, you have access to lots of professors, to lots of facilities. But the most students which I have seen, the only thing they use from the opportunities university has given them is Spotify discount, and that's it. Don't do that. You have lots of opportunities. You can gain so much more than just simply completing some of the subjects, completing some of the semesters, some of the years, because you can make a really great impact. And that's why this thing I'm really trying that right now is to make a research on my own. It will not be something genius. It will be something pretty much some type of analyze, but I want to do that because I want to use the opportunities given right now, because right now I can go to almost any professor and ask for help. Right now I have access to the facilities with the microscopes, to some microbiological facilities. Right now I have access to hospital as a student, and that's why I can go to the patients, of course with some ethical background and so on, but I can go to the patients, I can visit patients and have their info and ask doctors. I can do all of that right now. The same goes with the library. Yes, I know there are lots of resources which are free, but some of the resources are paid. But still, if you are going to the university, your university will have some type of library access to the newest journals, to the newest scientific posts, and so on. So use these resources, use these opportunities, and take the most of it. Because even if you do not pay for your own studying, even if you have some type of background which allows you to use it like free studying, even in that case, use it. And it also goes to people who pay for university. If you are paying for the university, take maximum which you can get from it. Because in other case, you will waste some of your money in nowhere, because you pay for professors, for facilities, for the access to the library, to the hospital, and so on, but you don't use it. It's simply dumb, if you see it from my perspective. Next thing is that sometimes it is better done than perfect. It goes for me, for my first year of medical school, when I was trying to have perfect notes, to write every single thing down, even if I don't have enough time to do it, and that sometimes it's better done, it's better with the test passed than perfect. Because the thing here is that you can perfect your notes, you can perfect your knowledge of the subject all of the time. You can spend lots of time in order to perfect this thing. But sometimes if you're limited in time, it's better done. Sometimes it's better for you simply to complete the course than just to make that perfect, because as my experience shows, perfecting your knowledge, perfecting your subject, the knowledge of your subject will take as much time as you will give, because every single time you will feel that you don't know every single thing, and you will never know every single thing. That's why you should always try to know something more, but that doesn't mean that you need to be perfect everywhere. The next point in my experience is mentioned already before, and that is, if you can do it on your own, it doesn't mean that you need to do it on your own. Even if you are an introvert, find the same introverts and do it together. Because I know there are many people. The people who can cooperate very easily, the people who cannot cooperate very easily. But the idea here is, if you can do it on your own, doesn't mean you need to. Because even in the case, if you do not want any connections with your course mates, your course mates are simply horrible, they're monsters or some sort of it, you can always ask your professors, you can always ask for help. Because it's okay to ask for help, because that's why you are studying. You're studying not because you know the information already, but you are studying because you do not know this information. And in order to know more, you can always ask for help. There are always consulting hours, there are always people who are ready to help you. Even if these people are not your course mates, there will be professors, there will be teachers' assistants, and so on, who will be ready to help you if you will simply ask them. Next point is very important for me. Was very important for me because as soon as I have understood this simple thought, it was change of my mind of some sort. The thing here is that it is okay to fail, and it is okay to start over and over as much as you need, because we're not perfect, and it's okay to not know everything. You cannot know everything every single time. And that's why it is okay to fail. There is nothing horrible. We are all people, we all make mistakes, and even if you feel like the failing this test will be the end of the world, it won't be, because it's not only okay to fail, it's also okay to quit. If you feel like you cannot do it on your own, if you feel like this course you have taken is not what you really need in life, it's not the subject which you are interested in, and you are not ready to complete this course, you are not ready to work in this sphere the rest of your life, it's okay to quit. Because every single person makes mistakes, and the society wants us to make a life-changing choice when we're somewhere in between from 16 till 19 years old. Remember how many good things and adequate things which you benefited from, you have done when you were from 16 till 19 years old. Like, I doubt that you have done very much of it, because I personally have done almost nothing which I have benefited from, except maybe choosing my life career. But here I got very, very lucky, to be honest, because I like what I do, I like the sphere which I will be working after graduating. That's why I'm very lucky in this. But if you feel that you have failed in choosing the correct sphere of life, the correct sphere which you are studying, just quit. I know it sounds very hard. I know there are some families who cannot afford that, but that's the whole other case. If you can afford it, then quit, because it's okay to quit, it's okay to fail, it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay not to know everything. These 4 simple thoughts, I have gone towards understanding it for a very, very long periods of time, because when I was during my academic break, when I had to take a study break, I have thought about quitting university, but then I understood that I really like what I do, and I really missed like going to the lectures and listening to all of the information which we were provided, because that was very interesting for me and I'd like to continue. That's why I understood that I'd like to continue, but that's also okay to quit, and that's also okay to fail, because as I have mentioned before, society wants people to make life-changing decisions when they are teenagers, basically. And that's why that's really dumb, and that's why I find that people should be given opportunity to change their decision which they have made during their teenage years. And on this positive note, I'd like to end this episode. Ranking this podcast will be very much appreciated on any platform you are listening to. Thank you for being here with me. Take care, and hear you next week.